Learn what not to do. Why keep repeating the mistakes of the past? That's a lesson I learned from my father. He was always telling me not to make the same mistakes he did. Why duplicate mistakes, he would say? Why keep doing the same dumb thing over and over? He taught me that although it was human to make mistakes, it was stupid to keep repeating the same mistakes. A lesson I carry with me to this day. We all have failings, of course. So what I've tried to do as a coach is take what is good from people I've worked for and learn from the things that are not so good. When I was an assistant at Syracuse, for instance, I saw that Jim Boeheim was easy on his players. Don't misunderstand. Jim Boeheim is an excellent coach who has been unbelievably successful. He is a bright, articulate man, and we are very friendly. But we are total opposites. It is his nature to be easy on his players. That works for him. It doesn't work for me. When I got to Boston University and had my own head coaching job, I knew I was going to be tougher on my players than Jim had been on his at Syracuse. It was my personality to play hard and to be competitive. And I wanted my players to reflect my personality on the court. At BU, I pushed my players to just about the absolute level of human endurance. Years later, I realized that Jim Boeheim may have been too easy on his players, for my taste, but he always supported his kids. They, in turn, always loved to play for him. And that can be as important an ingredient in success as any other. So Jim Boeheim taught me twice. First, when he taught me how not to handle my players, and later, when I saw the real value in his method. I learned how to incorporate the methods I could use into my own coaching philosophy. Some lessons which others can teach you are obvious and immediate. Others may take half a lifetime to discover. They were right in front of you all along, of course, but you weren't ready for them. But when you finally learn these subtler lessons, you've done more than choose success. You've begun to live it. Step 7. Thrive on pressure. 1 second to play. Your team is down by a single point, and you're at the free throw line to shoot a 1-on-1. 20,000 fans are in the stands. The game is on national television, and all eyes are on you. Make the first shot and your team ties the game. Make them both and your team wins. But miss the first shot, and not only does your team lose the game, you are the GOAT. This is the classic pressure situation, and every youngster who's ever dribbled the ball in the backyard or on the playgrounds has fantasized about being the player who toes that stripe on the foul line, the outcome of the game hanging in the balance. I must have played out that scenario 1,000 times when I was a kid. Everyone who's ever played basketball did, and while very few of us actually ever get to that situation, for those few moments when we were kids, we were brave and fearless, unafraid to accept the risk, willing to shoulder all the responsibility. In those moments, we stood toe-to-toe with failure, and we stared that demon down. Why did we, as youngsters, constantly put ourselves into the most pressure-packed situations? Because we all wanted to be the hero? That's part of it. We all dream of being lifted onto the shoulders of our teammates and carried off the field of battle, surrounded by a mob of excited fans. But I believe there's a much deeper reason we placed ourselves in those pressure cooker situations, one we probably didn't even understand at the time. We all wonder just how we would perform when the pressure is real, rather than just imagined. Would we come through, like we always do in our fantasies? Or will we get tagged with the most dreaded of all labels, a choker? These are questions that are always with us. However, subliminally, how will I react when faced with a pressure-filled situation? Will I hold up my end? Will I perform admirably? As a child, we envisioned performing in the adult world as some great new adventure. We weren't worried about pressure then. We only saw wondrous opportunities to prove ourselves. But as you grow older and see our weaknesses, you start to lose confidence. You falsely assume that weakness in one area carries over to all aspects of yourself. The result is that you start to see pressurized situations become opportunities to fail, rather than opportunities to succeed. Worse, you compound pressures in your life from work and home by piling responsibility on top of responsibility. Eventually, you start seeing this as one big mess, like a mountain you can't possibly climb, rather than a series of actions to be taken one step at a time. That childlike wonder you once had is long gone. You have begun to doubt yourself. You have started to think of all the things you can't do, rather than all the things you can do. You now see pressure as some enormous obstacle, the boulder that you must somehow push up the hill, something that not only is going to crush your performance, but also your spirit. All too often it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You need to rediscover your childlike wonder at being able to handle a pressure situation. You need to look at tomorrow with eager anticipation, rather than fear. You need to once again feel the world is full of possibilities. But in order to do that, You must understand the difference between pressure and fear.